In recent years, this has become a commonplace scene on British streets. Consumers and local councils are now well aware of the need to recycle as part of environmental policy. So much of what we use from day to day can be recycled. It is literally the foundation for much of what Ardagh Glass produces.
Ardagh Glass is an Irish-owned company which acquired the UK business of Rockware about 5 years ago. It's since been very acquisitive. It's bought other businesses in Europe, so it now has 23 factories, and all of those factories recently took the Ardagh name to avoid confusion with consumers. As a business, we employ 7,000 people across 7 countries in Europe, 1,300 of which are employed in the UK, and we produce glass bottles and jars in high volume for all the major food and drinks brands.
It is a partnership. Lorries from the Berryman Company provide the transportation from sites small and large around the country, much of it coming from collecting domestic glassware. Right next to the Ardagh Glass factory in Doncaster is the first port of call. A company called Reuse has been working with Ardagh for almost 10 years.
Trucks roll in, they're weighed, they give their colour, it's then deposited into a bay. We then inspect the colour. We inspect it for impurities. So if we find a lot of ceramic, let's say, or stone, then we will reject that load or downgrade the load. If it passes, it then gets pushed up, stored into our bays, and then that's then used in the future through our plant to basically make the cullet that's then ready for the batch for the glass manufacturing process.
This is the first stage, where some items will be sorted by hand, rejected in some cases. Reuse is Britain's largest glass recycler. In the process of turning some of the 7 billion bottles and jars that the UK uses each year back into containers for the marketplace begins at plants such as this.
At this particular factory here, we probably have a typical recycled content in all the glass bottles and jars leaving the factory of around 50%, but that's because we predominantly make clear glass here. But some of the facilities where we make green glass, we're producing up towards 90% recycled content, because we collect a lot of green glass in the UK from all the wine bottles that come in imported from France. So we have a high availability of the green glass, but we need to be able to get more clear glass available to recycle more, but we can use every bit that we get basically.
Domestic bottles and jars are hardly recognisable by this stage. The process has its own language. Flint is the term used to describe clear glass, and the raw material of glass, ready to be turned once more into all manner of bottles and jars, goes by the name of cullet.
The green glass in the flint cullet, basically what happens in your curbside collections and also in your bottle bag collections, people will make the mistake and they'll put green or brown in with the flint glass. Now, that doesn't really bother us as long as it's not too, the impurity is not too great, because we've got detection equipment that will remove that.
Once Reuse has put the glass through its process, the raw material is ready for the heat treatment. The furnace at Ardagh Glass is an impressive sight. The beauty of glass in terms of recycling is that it can be remade an infinite number of times without any loss of quality. Just as important is what that means for energy and environmental conservation, reducing the need to revert to the original source of glass, such as sand, soda ash and limestone.
Once it hits us, within, it could be as quick as 2 hours, they could be using this cullet to make new bottles and jars. And that's the industry we're in. We're right next door, and it just saves the capital being tied up. We want to use the glass, they want to use the glass. They can use up to 50%, so it's a high turnover here.
This is tough work. The furnace in the so-called hot section has to be in operation continuously, every day of the year. The staff work on average shifts of 12 hours, and the regular pattern starts with 2 days followed by 2 nights, with 4 days of well-earned holiday after that. Though they wear earplugs and protective clothing, there's precious little respite from the sensation of being surrounded by extreme heat as row upon row of glass containers are made.
The key to that is encouraging consumers to recycle more of their glass containers, especially clear glass containers such as jam jars, which tend to be stickier and a little bit dirty, so we encourage them to recycle those. We're also encouraging consumers to recycle and separate the glass if possible into separate colours. Some councils these days are collecting glass mixed, and that's not ideal for us because it's very difficult to separate the colours back out again.
From hot, the process changes to cold. The glass containers, be they recycled milk bottles, jam jars or beer bottles, are more recognisable now. Quality control is maintained throughout. The human eye is vital, but so is the massive yet delicate machinery that drives the recycling process. Equipment has to be in perfect working order. Any faults must be reported immediately because a mishap in production would have serious consequences. These factors mean that for companies such as Ardagh Glass, finance is a concern that never goes away.
It's a very capital intensive industry. A typical furnace has a life of probably no more than 12 years and to rebuild one of those furnaces costs probably in the region of anywhere between 10 and 15 million pounds with all the associated ancillary machinery. So none of the facilities at this site here will actually be any more than probably 10 or 12 years old, and they're constantly being reinvested in.
Technology has changed the glass recycling industry out of all recognition. Rates of production have been greatly increased, but so have the means to detect and sort different colours of glass when they first arrive off the lorry, the first step towards reappearing as containers.
The last 10 years they've improved dramatically. When we first arrived in the UK, our first plant basically only had detection equipment for ferrous and non-ferrous metals and ceramic detection. We now have detection equipment for pyroceramic, which is your heat resistant, your cookware, hob tops. We also have colour detection equipment now that will colour separate the colour, so we can get mixed in all 3 colours and separate it back to the 3 colour groups, your amber, your clear and your green.
The watchword in the industry is cradle to cradle. That is, turning the glass bottle or jar that was put into a collecting bin back into a reborn version of itself, just as good or even better for the environment. Proof of the quality of recycled glass is the rigorous testing procedure. And not every item passes the test.
We need to encourage consumers to do as much as they can to recycle as many of their old bottles and jars, because it all can be used again. Glass is a material that is infinitely recyclable. It can be recycled over and over again without any loss of quality, and there really is a benefit to all those activities, so we encourage consumers to do more.
Some of the leading British and international brands are customers of Ardagh Glass. This shows that recycling is not a noble but untenable pursuit in business terms, but a very viable means of production.
As soon as a bottle's made, it goes to the filler, they fill it, the consumer buys it, they empty it, put it in the bottle bank, we get it, that jar will make that jar. It's beautiful.
Given the will, that cycle of production could grow to the benefit of us all.